combined ratios. Again, a very interesting concept where we combine ratios. And how do we combine ratios? Let's see. There are few very interesting concepts here. So I have A is to B given to me as 6:5. I also have A is to C. Okay. I'm writing like this, 2:5. Right? So I have two different ratios. A is common in them. Right? You can see that A is common in both of them. Now, problem is that these are different ratios. They will have different constants. So this is basically 6A is to 6A, sorry, 6A is to 5A. This will be 2B is to 5B. These are different ratios. The constants will be different or same. I don't know, but I'll have to assume them to be different. Now, how do I combine them? You combine them by making the common term same. A should become, whatever is common, that should become same. So here you see this is 6 and this is 2. Now you can make them same by taking A as product of both. So I can make it 6 into 2. Or you can make them same as by taking LCM of 6 and 2. So LCM of 6 and 2 is 6, right? So that means for the first term, you don't have to do anything. Let it be 6:5. The second term, A is 2. To make it 6, I need to multiply it by 3. And in a ratio, if you see A is to C is 2:5. If I multiply it by 3, obviously in a ratio, if you multiply or divide any term, you should do the same to all the terms, right? Because you can't change any one term in particular. And if I multiply both of them by 3, it does not matter because 2:5. And if I multiply by 3, you get 6:15. And I'm sure you can figure out that 6:15 is same as a ratio as 2:5. Because common term is 3. If you eliminate 3 from both, you will end up with 2:5. So 2:5 and 6:15, there is absolutely no difference. But 6:15 makes so much sense for us because A is now 6 in the first ratio and A is 6 in the second ratio as well. And when A is same, then obviously I can combine them. I don't have to write them separately. So A is to B is 6:5. A is to C is 6:15. And now because they are same, okay, I can write A is to B is 6:5:15. Right? Because A has become same in both of them. Hence, this becomes my answer. The combined ratio is 6:5:15. Okay. So basically, what do you do here? Understand that carefully. Whatever is the common term, you make it same. One method of making it same is that I multiply the first term by 2. 6. You see 6 and 2. So 2, you multiply by 2 here and you multiply by 6 here. Okay. So in that case, what will happen? This I multiply by 2 and this I multiply by 6. So in that case, this will become 12. And if you multiply, obviously you have to multiply both. So this will become 12:10. And this, if you multiply by 6, 6 into 2, 12 into 6 is 30. This is also fine. So then becomes A is to B is to C is 12:10 is to 30. This answer and the answer that we got is 6:5:15. Are both answers same or are they different? Both answers are same, right? Because here you can see that there's a common term of 2, which I should divide them with. And if I divide this by 2, you'll end up with this. So both the answers are fine. When you take LCM, you won't have to do any reduction later on. But if you do not take LCM, then you might have to do a reduction later on. But that method also is fine. Okay, so 2 methods. What was the first one? We said whichever is the common term that has to be combined, take LCM of that and make that term same. Okay, so 6 and 2, the LCM is 6. So A should become 6 in both. In first one, it is already 6, so I don't have to do anything. In second one, it should become 6. Right now it is 2. That means I need to multiply this by 3. And in a ratio, you obviously will multiply all the terms. So this also will get multiplied by 3. So it will become, A will become 6, C will become 15. A is common now. So ABC becomes 6:5:15. First method. Second method was, don't bother about LCM. You just multiply. This is 6. A is 6 in the first one. A is 2 in the other one. So here 2, take it here. So multiply by 2, both the terms, and multiply by 6, both the terms. Okay, so in that case, this becomes A is to B, A becomes 12, B becomes 10, and A is to C, A becomes 12, and C becomes 30. So you get 12:10:30. And then reduce this by 2. 2 is common. So you get 6:5:15. Okay, so both the methods are absolutely fine. But the final answer will not be 12:10:30. It will be 6:5:15. Because as I told you at the start, a ratio is always represented in its lowest form. Any common term across all the parts of the ratio should be removed. So 6, 5, 15, there's nothing common. There's 5 common here, but not in all 3 of them. Here, 2 is common in all of them. So 2 we'll need to remove. Hence, the final answer will be 6:5:15. Fine. Let's now combine bigger ratios. We have combined AB and AC. Let's combine bigger. This one, very interesting. We have AB, BC, CD, D, and we have to find A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so I will give you 2 methods to do this. Okay, first let's do this from the concept part. Okay, so A is to B is 2:3. Then you have B is to C is 4:5. Then you have C is to D is 6:7. And then you have D is to E is 8:9. Okay, you can see here what is common. You can see here B is common, C is common, and D is common. So our method remains same that we did in the previous question. The only thing is here, it will become slightly iterative. You'll have to do the same thing multiple times because you'll have to keep adjusting it. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so B is the first one to be combined. B you can see is 3 and 4. Now 3 and 4, the LCM is 12. Even if you take product, that is also 12. So to make it 12, I should multiply this by 4 by 4. And this by 3 and by 3, right? So A is to B is to C will become 4 into 2, 8. B is 12 in first ratio also, second ratio also, and C is 5 into 3, 15. So my A, B, C has got combined. Okay, it has become 8:12:15. Below that, C is to D is 6:7. Okay, now I have to combine this. Okay, and you can see that it is 15 and 6. Now the LCM of 15 and 6 is 30, right? So to make it 30, I'll need to multiply this by 2, and by 2, and this by 5. So by 5 and by 5. Okay, fine. So then again, A is to B is to C is to D becomes 8 into 2, 16, 12 into 2, 24. C is 15 into 2, which is 30. And below also 6 into 5 is also 30. And D 7 into 5, 35. So A, B, C, D have got combined. And below D is to E is 8:9. Now this has to be combined. 35 and 8, there's nothing common between 35 and 8. So the LCM of 35 and 8 is 35 into 8. So this one will need to be multiplied. The first value will need to be multiplied by 8. All of them. and below 1, I'll need to multiply it with 35. Okay, so then I can write my A is to B is to C is to D is to E, which is 16 into 8. Now, how much is 16 into 8? 128. 24 into 8. How much is 24 into 8? 192. How much is 30 into 8? 240. How much is 35 into 8? 35 into 2 is 70. 70 into 4 is 280. And how much is 95? 9 into 35? 350 minus 35, 315. So this becomes your answer. A, B, C, D, E. The ratio is 128 is to 192 is to 240 is to 280 is to 315. And also you'll notice that because we have followed the LCM method, we have got the least possible value. No further reduction is possible. The first 4 numbers are even numbers. The last one is an odd number. Okay, so no further reduction is possible. Your answer is 128 is to 192 is to 240 is to 280 is to 315. Okay, I hope we are clear till here. Now let's understand one more method, okay, which we can use, and that is some sort of a formula, but it is getting derived from here itself. So let's look at this once again with a slightly different angle. Okay. Actually, if you see, LCM, I don't think has got taken anywhere except here. Okay. So we could have solved this question in one more method. Let's just focus on A, B, C. A is to B is 2 is to 3. B is to C is 4 is to 5. Okay. So when we got A is to B is to C, okay, this I can also write A upon B is 2 upon 3. B upon C is 4 upon 5. Right. Now, when I form this A, B, C, if you notice, A is 8, which is basically the product of both the numerators. 2 into 4, 8. B is 12, which is the product of the first denominator and the second numerator. 3 into 4 is 12. C is 15, which is the product of the first denominator and the second denominator. Right? So this is A is both numerators. Then one numerator gets shifted to denominator. So then one numerator, one denominator. Then one more numerator gets shifted to denominator, and this is both denominators. Okay, let's continue this logic. Let's write now. Let me use a different color. This is a very interesting concept. A by B is 2 by 3. B by C is 4 by 5. C by D is 6 by 7. And D by E is 8 by 9. Now when you have to write A, B, C, D, E. For A, you take all numerators. 2 into 4 into 6 into 8. Okay. So all numerators. Remember always the logic or the method is very simple. You start with all numerators. Then first numerator you shift to the denominator. So when I move to B, instead of the first numerator, I will take denominator. So basically this has 4 numerators, right? B will have one denominator and 3 numerators. So B will start with 3. After that, you will take 4, 6, and 8 into 4, into 6, into 8. C, one denominator will become 2 denominators and hence 2 numerators. So for C, you will take 3 also, which you did for B, and you will take 5 also. So it will be 3 into 5. Then, so 2 denominators done. Now you'll go back to 2 numerators. So 6 into 8. Okay. Now D, I think you yourself should be able to tell me. We had, here I can write 0 denominator also. So 0 denominator, 4 numerator, 1 denominator, 3 numerator, 2 denominator, 2 numerator. Now it should of course be 3 denominator and 1 numerator. So you'll take 3, you'll take 5, you'll also take 7. And then you'll go back to numerator, which is 8. So 3 into 5 into 7 into 8. And E, which is the last one, 3 denominator. So we had 0 denominator, 1 denominator, 2 denominator, 3 denominators. Now, of course, you'll have 4 denominators and 0 numerators. You'll always end with this. So you'll take all the 4 denominators, 3 into 5 into 7 into 9. So this is a pure formula-based method. You start with all numerators, then gradually you keep replacing one numerator with a denominator, and you'll end with all denominators. Okay, so this is what we get here. Now this, I can multiply them and get the answer. One more thing that I can do is, because this is not an LCM method, you might get a value which then you might have to reduce. So here itself, I can have a look and you can see that we have multiple of, I don't have multiple of 2 everywhere. Last one is not a multiple of 2, but I have a multiple of 3 everywhere. So that I can reduce right now. So this 6, let's divide by 3. You get 2. This 6 also I get 2. This 6 also I get 2. This 3, 5, 7, 8, 3 I can cancel. And this 3 I can cancel. So 1, 3 I can cancel everywhere. Now let's get the value. So you have 2 into 4, 8. 8 into 2, 16. 16 into 8. Same thing here. Notice here, 16 into 8. Same thing. So you'll get 128. Okay. Then 3 into 4, 12. 12 into 2, 24. 24 into 8. Okay. See, 24 into 8. Same 24 into 8. So 192. Right? So you'll get 192 here. Okay. Then 3 into 5, 15. 15 into 2, 30. 30 into 8. Same 30 into 8. So it gives you 240. Okay. Then you have 5 into 7, 35. 35 into 8. Same 35 into 8. You get 280. Okay. And the last one, you have 5 into 7, 35 into 9. You can see same 35 into 9. That is 315. So this is also a method which will give you the same answer. We took that 3 out common. That you may not do. You may get the final fraction, but then you will have bigger values to multiply. So it always makes sense to see if there's anything common which we can remove and then get the answer. Okay. So just to do a recap of this method, if you ever have A by B, and here it should be in sequence. So A by B, B by C, 2, 3, 4, 5, C by D, 6, 7, and D by E, 8 by 9. Okay, so if you ever get something like this, you can get more values also. For A, you take all numerators. Okay, for B, you take first denominator and then all numerators. For C, you take first denominator, second denominator, and then balance numerators. For D, you take first denominator, second denominator, third denominator, and fourth numerator. And for E, you take first denominator, second denominator, third denominator, and fourth denominator. Okay, And that is what will give you the final answer. And it is nothing but derived from this method only, which we did earlier. So completely up to you. But this, of course, is more automatic. There's no thinking involved. You can do this directly. Okay. So let's say if I have A by B as 1 by 2 and B by C as 5 by 6, just applying automatically A, B, C will be what? For A, I should take both numerator. So 1 into 5. For B, I should take first denominator, second numerator. So 2 into 5. And for C, I should take both denominator, 2 into 6. So this will be my answer, 5 is to 10 is to 12. Okay, let's say I have a B by C. I have a C by D also, is 7 by 8. Okay, so now A will be 1 into 5 into 7. B will be 2 into 5 into 7. C will be 2 into 6 into 7. And D will be 2 into 6 into 8. Right? So 3 numerators, 1 denominator, 2 numerators, 2 denominators, 1 numerator, and 3 denominators. So this logic can keep on going. Okay, and you'll get your answer. Fine. So I hope you have been able to understand this, both the approaches, and do practice both. Both are very useful in solving questions. Great. Let's move on to the next question. Now, this again uses the same thing. Very interesting question. A by B is 3 by 4. B by C is 3 by 4. C by D is also 3 by 4. And then there's some more information. We'll come back to that later. Let's first find A, B, C, D. A is to B, is to C, is to D. We'll use the method that we discussed just now. A will be all 3 numerators, which is 3 into 3 into 3, right? B will be 1 denominator and 2 numerators, so 4 into 3 into 3. C will be 2 denominators, 1 numerator, so 4 into 4 into 3. And D will be all 3 denominators, 4 into 4 into 4. Right? So A is 27. This is 4 into 12 into 3, 36. This is 4 into 4, 16 into 3, 48. And D is 64. So this is the ratio. Very simple. Same concept that we used in the previous question. 27 is to 36 is to 48 is to 64. And remember, they're ratios. So if you need to do any calculation on them, you should add the constant K. Okay. Now it says B gets 392 less than D. So how much does D get? 64K. How much does B get? 36K. Okay. So D gets how much more than B? 64 minus 36, 28K. This 28K is equal to 392. Hence, K is equal to 14. Very simple. K is equal to 14. Okay. So for each one of them, their actual value is into 14. All that you have to do is multiply by 14 to get the answer. So A is equal to 27 into 14. Okay. B is 36 into 14. C is 48 into 14. And D is 64 into 14. So A, B, C, D, we combined the ratio using the same concept that we did in the previous question. Okay. After that, there was one more information given. And I told you, ratio can be converted to values if there is some value-related information given to you. And that information was given to me here. That information was given to me here. So using this, I could find the constant. And once you have the constant, then of course, you can solve everything. Okay. So 27 into 14 is how much? 7 into 4, 28. To carry 8, 10, 7. 8, 10, 1 carry. This is 378. 4, 2 carry, 12, 13, 14, 504, 52, 3 carry, 16, 19, 19 and 8, 27, 2 carry, 672. And this is 16, 1 carry, 24, 25, 25, 9, 2 carry, 96. So you will obviously get the values. Fine. So this is how this question will be solved. This should not be a problem if you have understood how to compare. And if you do not want to use this method, then you can find the ratio otherwise also, which I told you. Let's do that way also. So A is to B is 3:4. B is to C is also 3:4. Now, if I have to make them same, then this should be multiplied by 3. This should be multiplied by 4. And of course, you'll have to multiply both. Right? So A is to B is to C will become 9 is to 12 is to 16. Okay. And then C is to D is again 3:4. Okay. So if I have to make C same, obviously I'll have to multiply this with 3 and this with 16. So this also with 16, this also with 3, and this also with 3. So then A, B, C, D will be 9 into 3, 27, 12 into 3, 36, 16 into 3, 48, and 16 into 4, 64. So you'll get this way also. Okay, but why do this when this is known to us? So of course, we should do this and get this done in one shot rather than doing this through this iterative method. Okay, but of course, you should always know the concept. That's very, very important. This should come later. Okay, but this will help you solving your question relatively faster. Great. Let's move on to this question. Now, I told you that ratio concepts get used in a lot of other varieties of questions. One of them is this ages-based question. Okay, so have a look at this question. What is it saying? The ratio of the age of a man and his wife is 4:3. After 4 years, this ratio will become 9:7. If at the time of the marriage, now at the time of his marriage, that means past, right? Because the first line says man and his wife, so they're already married. At the time of his marriage, that means back. The ratio is 7:5. Then how many years ago they were married? Okay, nice question. Let's say the age of the man right now is 4x. Okay, so we'll say the man right now is 4x. And this question says after 4 years. So right now his age, present age, I'm assuming to be 4x. After 4 years, it will be 4x plus 4. Wife at present is 3x because the ratio is 4:3. And after 4 years, she'll be 3x plus 4. 4 years, so of course, 4 years will get added to both husband and wife's age. And this ratio is given to me as 9:7. Right? This is my first equation. Present age. The ratio of the present age of man and his wife is 4:3. So their ages are 4x and 3x. After 4 years, so 4x plus 3 and 3x. Sorry, after 4 years, so 4x plus 4 for the husband and 3x plus 4 for the wife. And this ratio is 9:7. Okay, let's cross multiply. 7 into 4, 28x plus 28 is 27x plus 36. So that gives you x is equal to 8. So I got the value of the constant. Most important part in a ratio question, if you have to answer or find values, is always the constant. Once you have the constant, more or less your question is done. So the present ages for the husband, we had said was 4x. X is 8. That means it is 4 into 8. Husband at present is 32 years. Wife was 3x. X is 8. So 3 into 8, she is 24 years. Right? This is their present age. Okay. Let's come back to the second part. if at the time of the marriage, the ratio was 7:5. So we know that right now they're husband and wife. So at the time of the marriage, we have to go back. Otherwise, from the wording also, the ratio was. This it also tells you that this is in past tense. So some years back. So let's say it was Y years back. So I'll have to subtract those years. If I go back Y years, the husband would have been 32 minus Y, right? And the wife would have been 24 minus Y. These would be their ages, and this would be the ratio of their ages, which is given to you as 7/5. Right? So I hope this ratio is absolutely clear how this got formed. Husband at present was 32 years, wife at present was 24 years. Y years back when they got married. So I'm assuming they got married Y years back. So their ages would be 32 minus Y and 24 minus Y, which is 7/5. Again, cross multiply 32 into 5, 160 minus 5Y is 24 into 7. Or 24 into 7 is how much? 24 into 5 is how much? 120. 120 plus 48, 168 minus 7Y. Okay. Or 7Y I bring to the left-hand side. So it becomes 2Y is equal to 8 or Y is equal to 4. Okay. What was Y? Y was the number of years back when they got married. So they got married 4 years back. Answer is 4. Okay. So one part of the question was future, forward, 4 years later, after 4 years, and one part was back, 4 years back. Okay. So the answer is 4. I hope we are clear with this. Okay. This is one of the applications of ratio. I told you ratio questions get applied in so many other varieties, mixtures, allegations, partnership, profit and loss, ages, coins, so many different varieties. Some of them will do, and some you will do as practice questions also. But very, very important concept, very basic concept, but something which is a very building block, a foundation for so many other chapters that you'll do. Okay, good. Chaliye.